or whatever you want to call it nowadays, but are they willing to actively engage with you? And then their subnote at the bottom is saying, and their account only had 600 people on it, but they had a little screenshot with their analytics, and their analytics were phenomenal, because everything that we're talking about is important. You got to have the quality people, and that's why I've been starting to learn more about this, learning how to use the tools. So, what I'm doing is important. I don't want to be drugged down by a dead anchor. I mean, I want to be able to have, I want to spread my flowers to the world. That's why I offer them every day in a little inspirational story without asking for anything in return, other than you just share it and you look at it, and the feedback that I get is more than enough of a payment for me, because I like that spiritual payment. I don't care about money. I've been in the position where I've had more than I know what to do with, and I've been homeless on the streets, and I find as long as I have everything I need provided for me, that's where I'm the most happy.
That's awesome, Heartthrob, and that's heartfelt. And I appreciate you, my friend. I'm doing a live stream right now, Heartthrob. So if you want to open up your screen and check it out, I'm streaming live to Twitter and YouTube. And I love the authenticity, because, and maybe this is the time that we're in where it's aligning to, does it matter how engaged your followers are? So last night, I run a community here on Twitter. So last night in my mind, and I'm sharing this with you openly, I was FOMOing, because I've fallen behind on responding to followers, right? So for me, I take that so personal, but I have some real life activities taking place. So, I started to FOMO, but then I said, wait a minute, I need to prioritize my social media time even more now, because I have these 4 communities that require my nurturing. How irresponsible of me to put up these communities in these groups, and they just kind of hovering in there into a little group or something. I'm not active, and I'm the group person. Wait a minute. So based on priorities, my communities are the priority first. So I'm going to go inside my community and communicate with the group initially. Then as time permits, so my team is ramping up, right? So it's just one of those things, but community is opposed to the general public. And this is my mindset, y'all, and I'm talking out loud to you all about maybe some things that you haven't considered, or maybe you consider them differently. But when you have a community, when you have subscribers, when you have those, how are you managing where you're generally just tweeting out versus when you're specifically intentionally tweeting out inside of a community? Mr. G?
So yeah, I had a question. So in just comparing, this is not like building your credit, where if you have an account, you want to just get rid of it or delete it, because if you do that with the credit, it can actually hurt you. In this case, we do want to potentially delete those. Is that what I'm hearing correct?
So for communities, no, you want to keep those communities, and you want those communities to grow, because that's more of an intimacy. So the model states, and the model that's being transitioned into is, if you have 1,000 followers versus 1 million followers, right? So if you have 1,000 followers and they're active, opposed to having 1 million followers and they're inactive, what's your penetration? Based on influence, right? So that's one piece to it, is looking at that. But the communities, from a model states, if you have 100 or more community members, then there's a different financial landscape on how you monetize in communities. So this is like communities, there's a whole algorithm to monetization in social media. For instance, on Facebook, I know a couple communities that generated $1 million a month in their communities. So, but everybody has specific roles and these things. So, good question, Mr. G. Good question. So I want to head over to Mike, and then I'll head over to Web3 going Papa.
So just curious, did the entire spaces drop there for a second, or just my connection?
The entire spaces dropped.
Okay. All right, good. I just wanted to make sure I understood what was happening. So I love that you're about to bring up the Metricool, because I'm looking on here right now.
Oh, you
I've
see it,
heard
yeah.
Also, that the ratio of followers to people that you're following, have you heard about that particular ratio?
I have, and that's one of the things that I'm going to show you as well. So part of looking at depth and bitch depth, you want to take a look at the first line, the second line, and if you can get to a third line, that's good. I learned that off of LinkedIn, because that model is actually how LinkedIn actually operates as well. Go ahead.
I've heard something like you can only have when whoever posted NFT God's code analysis way, that's kind of the gold standard right now. He went through all the lines of open source code to find out where all the shadow banning are, and all of the back end of X, all the X code, as far as how when your account is inflated or when it's deflated, and all of those things. And they're taking a look at that right now. But somewhere in there, it seemed like they were mentioning that you could only have like 25 or 30% people that you were following compared to the people that were following you. So you had to have like 3 times as many people following you not to take this hit. And I don't know what's going to happen with that. I don't know if that's going to go into the tweet cred that Elon posted. I don't know if anybody had a chance to look at that, but Elon yesterday said that he's getting rid of the entire reputation scores around tweet cred. I don't know how much that affects the rest of this conversation. I just wanted to throw that out there because I hadn't heard it mentioned yet. That was all.
Good conversations. Good. So I'm streaming live, everybody. And what Mike is talking about is, I'm a non-techie tech, by the way. So as a non-techie tech, I don't read code. I can't tell you when you run and debug. I have no idea what that thing says, but I can interpret based on what you all build or what you're thinking about building, where the indicators, lead and lag, are going ahead. Right. So what I'm showing you all today is Metricool. I have that a pin post, and part of the pin post is I am a partner with Metricool. So I've been using Metricool since last year. I want to say Minting Queen Hector introduced us to Metricool. And so I've been using it ever since, probably over a year now, something like that. And I don't have my web. I didn't click my web yet, but I'm going to link my web. But I'm going to take you all through this because this matters. This is a summary of my account. So I'm sharing some alpha with y'all. Go ahead.
Yaeunda, I'm just curious. I'm curious as to what made you choose Metricool. I mean, I don't want to interrupt you, but I am curious as to what made you choose Metricool over some of the other social media platforms. And I'm interested to hear what your answer is on that.
So when I looked at Metricool, it was important it was a test. So I like to get in early on betas and private betas and work with founders. Because if I can work from the ground up with founders, then I feel like, okay, we can build something pretty cool based on their vision in mind. So
I love that.
Yeah. So I went to Metricool. That's why. And it was new. So I'm like, oh, you're new and you're out of Europe. So you don't even have USD in here yet. I don't even know what that line is, but we're going to figure that out. So I'm one of those.
They're based in Spain.
Right.
Based in Spain. I checked the terms of service.
Okay. Look at you. See, look at you. Right. So I was like, all right, this is good. So when I went in, they didn't have all this initially. And they gave me an opportunity to connect all my social media accounts in one place. So I'm always looking to streamline my operations as much as possible so that I don't like to go all around to find my information. I like to be fed, and I like to be fed well. So part of being fed is looking at, this is my summary. Really quick, it gives me a snapshot of for performance on social media. So I scratch my head a little bit because I'm not active I'm starting to get more active on YouTube now. TikTok, I can't tell you the last time I've been on TikTok. So I saw that I'm growing on TikTok. I'm like, okay, well, let me go over there and see what's going on. So let me go ahead and nurture that a little bit and see what it does. Instagram, I haven't been active at all. I met some folks. I met the #1 athlete this past weekend or something like that. He wasn't even on Twitter. He was on Instagram. I'm like, dude, what you doing? So connecting. These are all stories leading you to kind of how I've been able to look at these platforms differently. So then I go over into, and this is super, and again, I'm an affiliate with them. So my impressions. So this gets interesting because 1, I have visual, but 2, I have these indicators, but 3, because I've been using this over a year, I have this year versus last year, week over week data that I can look at, or day over day data that I can look at and impact. So I go into posts even. So when you see my impressions, you notice that my impressions are up here, which tells me, oh man, I'm suffering in Twitter right now with my impressions, right? So my #1 account right here is, and I'm suffering. So I look at my interactions. So I'm saying, okay, so if my interactions are up, look, they're all up. And my interactions are up on YouTube and Twitter. The rest of them haven't even seen any content, probably because I'm not really streaming to them at this time. So
question real quick. If I may, have you verified this against another analytics tool? So to double check that those numbers are accurate? I'm just curious.
So yeah, so what I do is I do a compare and contrast from the native platforms directly. So I'll pull up Twitter's analytics, and I'm looking at to see Twitter analytics. So since we're in this, let me share this with y'all. So great questions, and I want to feed you real time. So when I go, when you go into, so I have a premium. So premium, you'll see this is new that they give us in premium. So I'm able to go in now and see that, my engagement score is going back up now that I stopped worrying about impressions. What? So my engagement rate, I used to say, well, what's a good engagement rate on social media? Think about it, y'all. So anything over 1%. Yeah, 1%. If you can get 0.02 or 0.2. So most people don't even understand where the baselines start when you start to look at metrics of engagement, right? So knowing that my engagement rate, it was 15% prior to focusing somewhere else. So it's not a surprise that my impressions are down because my visits are down because of this. But in 24 hours, I can literally impact these numbers and be green everywhere. Okay. So and that's the first comparison that I do on Twitter. The second comparison that I do on Twitter is my analytics here. So now my analytics say my tweet impressions are 76.2 and my followers are up 500, right? So now I go into, and I didn't show y'all that. And I'm just talking to it, but I didn't show it to you. So let me go back and show it. So I'm sharing this tab on the other analytics that's native and on this platform. So you all have, so you want to use this. Looking at your tweet activity, I go into that, right? And I do a compare and contrast, tell me everything I need to know. I'm hitting 5,000. I used to hit 20,000 or so impressions. So we're moving through, but this tells me again, looking at engagement on the side, this is my compare and contrast, okay? And this is where you meat and potatoes. And the last piece to this, if you want to really get into your analytics on the particular platforms, you want to take a look at your videos. So what are your videos doing? So this video right here is starting to this is the best result I've ever had in videos. So whatever that was, I need to do more of that, right? So testing out a couple different things in video as well is doing some major things. So moving back over to your metric, right, and sharing this tab for you. So yes, Mike, I do a compare and contrast off of the platforms. The same thing for Facebook, the same thing for LinkedIn, and I do this for companies. So if you don't want to do this, I add your brand to my portfolio, and then I start to manage and give you insights on that. I start to deliver reports directly to your office so that you understand if you're hitting the mark or not. In addition to, you get a list of my posts. So you're able to see how many impressions, whether it was up, whether it was down, how many interactions it had, and on what platform it's doing. So I don't have the same content on every single platform because it's different. Ad accounts and impressions. So Facebook, I'm going through some stuff with them right now because formerly I ran ads through Facebook. So in this whole planning piece to it, this is just a summary that I gave y'all. Okay. So now I can go into my web, I can go into my Instagram, but I'm gonna take you into my Twitter. Look at Twitter. Look at Twitter. So Twitter allows me to look at my community, but also look at my posts, also look at my competitors, also look at my community management. So because social media is transitioning like it is so fast, it's going to be difficult for one person to be able to manage the pure scale of social media. So I'm giving y'all really good, I'm giving y'all really good alpha and insight into how I look at these things. From the followers to my following. And this is it right here, Mike. You just asked about my penetration of my second level. So my penetration to my second level went down 0.70% because I started deleting accounts. And I've deleted hundreds of accounts so far. And this only went down by 0.70%. But if you look at in thousands what that penetration meant, I lost the impact of 165.7 thousand followers that I can impact with my particular content. So, all right, let's see some other narratives. Followers, 513. Daily followers, getting about 17 a day. Followers posts. This is less than 1%. Wow. Following. Daily posts and week posts. So I'm active in my posting. However, the return on the investment to my posting based on what I see here is not, the return is unequal. So as I look at the balance of followers, this is what SuperAnalytics gets you. Like, what? How many you acquired? How many you lost? And it has your account and your names. So I'm gonna be quiet for a moment and get some thoughts from my co-host before I just continue to just drop this nuggets. Any thoughts so far, co-host?
Love it. I'm just wondering how, when I'm getting ready to market all this data. So yeah, I'm just taking notes here. But
Same here. As always, is great information. Analyzing it and trying to form a strategy around it. It's going to be something that I'm going to put a lot of emphasis on. And I was actually that tweet as well that was shared on the tweet here, and it really has helped me understand what my focus should be, right? Especially when one's creating content. So, I'm gonna need that paid course from you, Yaeunda, like a real detailed course that you can set on here and monetize off of, because this is really great information.
I'm glad that you find this of value. I really do, because as we go down, and I don't want anybody to feel a certain way by showing this, right? So, but I'm showing you this because I want to show you SuperAnalytics and what some companies' value can add to your business. So I've acquired this person. They have 55 followers. They're following me, but I haven't followed them back. I have this person that has 9,365. They're following me. I haven't followed them back. I'm looking, and it might be some accounts here. Banty, follow. Now let me go. So I don't know Banty that much. So why don't I know Banty? So I need to do some research on Banty, and I can just follow Banty as simple as clicking here, or I can unfollow. So I've been unfollowing and following very quickly off of here, my list, right? So I'm able to go in and also see the average time that they tweet. I mean, how many times they tweet, are they active or what? But my loss is the one that cracks me up for a moment. I'm like, why am I losing followers? Oh my goodness. Let me be quiet for a moment. I got some hands. Mike, then Ryan.
Yaeunda, are you able to hear him?
Oh, I'm not. Hold on. Let me see if I'm doing something. Let me relog in. Mike, can you hear me? I can't hear him. Let me exit out then. So I'm not on X right now, but I'm relogging in to see if I can catch some people in the room and what they're saying. So let me go in. Hopefully the room is still going. It is. So good. So I'm just waiting on it to join me. I said join the space and reconnect it. So I'm back into the space and I can't hear him.
And
I can hear him now.
wanted her to be aware of a couple things. Something that was, host is having connection issues. Give it a second. They may reconnect. Anybody have some good elevator music?
I'm here. I'm here, my friend.
Can you hear me okay, Yaeunda?
I can hear you just fine.
Okay. So circling back around to the Speedify thing. No, I'm just teasing. Circling back around to going back up to your analytics and what NFT God found out is that, and I went to the spaces that he held, and he went through and described it to everybody what was happening. And one of the biggest things that he saw, and he was very adamant in the space, is that if you refer to X as anything other than X, you see he was under the impression, after this huge analysis he did, that his reach would be limited. So when I look at your statistics here, the recent down pull in impressions, I'm wondering if, because you're still using the previous name quite a bit, I'm just kind of curious if that might be impacting it. I don't have a clue, but I do know that NFT God did mention that was an issue. I mean, to the point where he was adamant in the actual spaces, and he told everybody that if they used the previous name, that he was going to boot them from the spaces. So just FYI, just a thought, okay?
That was good, Mike. And so I've waited. So I watch how X is even updating their icons and stuff like that. And so this is already pre-populated. So that's a good point. I'm going to have to listen to all that, right? Because words matter.
Yeah, and I mean, while the previous identity was fine for what it is, as one of your previous, I think, Phantom mentioned, the idea of where Elon is wanting to take this for an everything app, it's no longer appropriate. It does. It's a bit of a tongue twister, to use the new vernacular, but does encompass more of an overall picture posting versus something that's small. I mean, previously I wouldn't even use the platform because it was too micro for me. Where Elon is taking this is just really appealing to me, and we'll see where it goes, but it's very appealing to me, and we can talk about that a whole other time. Anyways, that's all I wanted to jump in there and say. And when I saw that flash of your impressions going down, I was just curious about that. That's all.
Absolutely, Mike. Good conversation, because I'm seeing this. I love the Speedify, by the way. You're like, let's bring that back. Yeah, Speedify. I'm going to look at that one. I love it. So I'm looking here, right? And I'm like, wow, look at these loops. So during this time, there was huge acquisition, but there was a lot of loss in this week. Look at this. The purple is lost, y'all. So for me, from an indicator, is looking at my blue line. Whoa, what's happening? So I'm glad that we were stronger in this week. As long as week over week, the blue is above the purple, I'm good, right? And that's just how I analyze it. You might see it differently in what you're looking at. But again, this person, wait a minute, I'm following this person, but this person not following me. And they got 15 followers. Unfollow. And that's as simple as it is. So, and then you can have and this is for me. So if we can at least follow each other, then that's an easy on the X. We're not following each other, but I'm following this person. Unfollow, because obviously there's a disconnect in the value versus, and that's how my head goes. And I'm just, whether this is right or wrong, I'm explaining to you my insight and how I leverage these tools, right? So I'm able to see acquired and lost, but I'm also able to see mentions. So I go in because there's more analytics here for us to take a look at. So mentions are up, posts are up. So when I look here, I'm like, wait a minute, why are my mentions so low yesterday? And yeah, I told y'all in a moment, real time. But also looking at a consistent and steady, something's happening here. Something's happening here. So for me to take a look at and maybe see year over year. So this is a good indicator where I would go and I would pull historical data to see if maybe from a seasonality, from a flow, if I'm seeing any patterns that'll take place as well. So again, you're just anticipating on what you need in order to make sure that you're adding value. Here's a summary.
If I can share a thought.
Go ahead.
If I can share a thought.
Sure.
I'm not even sure that year over year in X right now would even be applicable. So much is changing about this algorithm. I mean, you probably would know more than I, but I've only been using X now for 2 months. I've had my account since 2019, but I've literally only been using it for 2 months. Or not even that, honestly, maybe 6 weeks. But I would imagine with so much change that's taking place that last year and this year, I mean, there'll definitely be some comparisons, but I think you know where I'm going with that. So I'll just let you take over there.
Absolutely. And earlier in my days, I always keep beat last year book. This is some alpha for y'all, right? So, and it's so simple. And I've carried this books ever since Franklin Covey, since 1999. Woo! And part of doing that is making sure that you understand that you just put a one line in there. There was a tornado. There was a storm. There was a crisis happened. I remember recording even when 9/11 happened. I wrote in my book, right, to make sure that you just have that one line of what took place, right? So I know I have lows year over year. That's going. Go ahead.
We have to kiss just then.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
A little sweet kiss between you and your husband just then. And works. You mentioned cut.
They can hear everything y'all say. Be quiet. I'm recording live. Okay. Can y'all hear me? You're breaking up, Mike.
Breaking up. You.
Mike sounds good, Yaeunda. I hear you breaking up.
That is me, my baby. I'm a good one. All right. Hey, drop her off for me. By the house. Please. Yeah. Oh, I'll take you. Go ahead. I'll be right there. Sorry, y'all. Y'all see me live navigating life, right? So I appreciate y'all while I'm navigating life. All right. So I want to go to Emily because Emily has come up. She tried to come up yesterday. I know she has some alpha. This queen is ready. Go ahead, Emily.
Hi, Yaeunda. Thank you for having me up. I'm glad that you got the space back. Basically, I'm going to do a quick one. I just came back up to go back on X and the SuperAnalytics and just share my experience. If it's okay with you, I want to pin what I've pinned in the comment. So if it's okay, I'm just going to go ahead and do that. Yes, thank you, Yaeunda. So basically, some time ago, I think it was beginning of July or maybe August. It was not too long after X, right? And the X announcement, and when it switched. And there was something that surfaced where Elon talked about, payments. And then there was another video that says that, yeah, basically he's copying WeChat. So first I was like, oh, Elon's about to do this. He wants payments on the app. He wants it to be the everything app. So I spent some time in China, in Beijing, and we had WeChat, and basically WeChat is the everything app, meaning that if you go to China and you manage to get a visa to stay there, you do need a bank account. You do need to change your phone to a Chinese phone. Otherwise, your life will be miserable. It just won't work. And you need WeChat. Like, you need a bank account and you need WeChat just to function. Like, everything is connected to WeChat. Like, everything you can think of for your substance of your life is connected.
All right,
to
y'all.
WeChat.
I'm about to end this.
Meaning that
But I thank y'all for taking a look at the metrical.
Store,
use my link, my affiliate link that's
pay.
posted.
You can pay with cash.
I'm going
sure.
to make sure
you
that
can
I
go
give you a
markets and
copy.
pay with cash, but most markets vendors
So I'm going to go here.
have this
my
QR
affiliation.
code that they show you, like in the picture I'm about to post. My phone is acting up with me. Hold on here. Okay, I'm going to post it right now. Here we go. Okay, so it should appear in a few. So you will see two pictures. I have also Alipay, which is from Alibaba, and where you have what's the thing? Anyway, like it's the other thing where like you can find anything on Alibaba. But basically in China, in the picture, you would go to a vendor, you would go to a restaurant, you would go to the grocery store, and basically they had the QR code, just like they have the payment machine, and just whip up your wallet QR code that's connected to the bank account, or the app could also store money as well, and then you would pay if you wanted to take a cab or Uber, which is their version, right? We call it Didi. Which means apparently little brother. You had to use your WeChat. If you wanted to go anywhere, you had to go to WeChat. You owe money for paying somebody because they paid for the restaurant. You wired them WeChat. Like money, it's everywhere. You also chatted on WeChat. People had whole pages of their social media on WeChat. Like their whole lives. It ran the city. It ran our life, and we could not function without it. And basically, when I heard people talking about like the social credits and so on, this thing I can speak less of because I was not fully aware like that of how it ran. But people had own businesses, and because we were Christian right there, we were just careful as to what we were sharing on those medias because social listening was a real deal. And you had to be careful. And so, I just wanted to bring my real life experience with WeChat and where I think Elon wants to take X. So that's my contribution. Thanks for having me.
I'm like, what's my password to unlock my phone? Because that was like
I concur, Emily, until we hear Yaeunda come back on. I'm not able to hear her yet.
Yes, I'm here.
Elon has mentioned that as a template. He has mentioned WeChat.
But may I ask, Emily, so I just have a question. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Yaeunda, because I know that ultimately X is